Hello and welcome to Dr. Dav Knows All the Things. We're so glad you're here. Each week we sit down with Dr. Dav and unpack recent sermons and dive deeper into scripture, theology, and explore theological themes that shape our walk with Jesus. If you have time, stick around. Today's episode might just be the encouragement you need. I can be
Mom,
professionally funny.
The thing is, you have to drop the professional.
Yeah,
Which you did, by the way, by the end.
Well, good.
Mind you, by the time we
So
were
the
talking
first
about
half.
doubling, you had dropped professionalism. But this is what I said. I said to her, because she was telling me what her intro question would be. And she said, this is my intro question. Dr. Dav. And I said, do you call him Dr. Dav? And she goes, I always do. And I said, oh. I
Here
don't.
she does, yeah.
But it makes total sense, because that's what the
I'm not sure that
podcast
you've
is.
I'm
ever
supposed
actually.
to.
That's what I had a moment where I said, I don't do that. I just start talking.
I'm supposed to.
just
By the way,
talk.
this reminds me. Have you seen? Well, you haven't because you're not on social media much. But there's, you know how like things
Quiet
go
life.
around that people do. There's this thing going around that wives are doing to their husbands when they're at a restaurant and they're getting ready to order, and it's time to order the drinks. And so he'll say he wants a Coke, and she'll be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, let me think." And then she'll go. Can I order a regular instead of a diet? Yeah. And he doesn't know what to do.
They they pretend their husbands are controlling.
And
Very funny.
And then
Very
the
funny.
husband looks at her like, "What are you doing?" Or they'll
she
do it
can
in front
have
of the
whatever she wants.
father,
Yeah, it's
like
very
the
funny.
father-in-law, or at a restaurant. It's the best thing ever. So, Dr. Dav,
Like-
that's what he makes me call him at home. That's what I was going to say.
We're continuing right from the end of the
I
last
really do
episode.
enjoy when Austin's on the front row helping me.
It's so
I know,
great.
I agree. That's what it's hard without the peanut gallery, honestly.
Okay.
Well, I want to talk about today.
I so badly. Are we on?
No, go.
We
Yeah,
are.
we're
I
on.
think it never
'Cause I
stops.
so
You are.
badly- When I said today at the 10:30 service, this is not Thriller. Everything. Yes, I wanted to start.
Why
I
didn't
would
you?
have been here
I'm
for
surprised you
Because
stopped
I was
yourself.
being recorded, and I'm talking about this super
Seriousness,
gravity
yeah.
sacred thing, and I'm just bursting with my own sense of I'm so funny.
Yeah.
And I thought if I give into it, I risk really losing the room or winning the room. But then they're only one to me. Like, oh, he's funny, and then but I'm not.
Yeah, I would have definitely just been thinking that is a really fun music video. I would be thinking about it as you kept talking. I'd
Yeah.
be like in my head.
Yeah, keep going.
But I would be happy
And
that
then,
I was there.
and then their minds would have been, "Oh yeah, his new movie's coming out."
yeah,
No,
you know Jafar Jackson is his nephew. And then Mom and I are talking.
Yes, it would have just
Yeah.
carried
And is
on.
that guy Vincent Price? Is that his name? Like the guy that talks during the thing?
Huh?
The voices of 1,000 things. The guy that.
The guy that's like the one.
Yeah, but he does all of that. I think he hired that
Oh.
guy. And
I
then,
don't know the guy.
Yeah, he's old and
used to freak
does.
me out.
Yeah, well, he's supposed to. I don't think
He's
it's.
supposed to be still alive.
know, I
No, he
remember.
did.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it's healthy. I think that the whole thing is kind of
No, it's
wackadoo.
What, Thriller?
wackadoodle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, let me tell you something. I remember my first ever introduction to Michael Jackson, which was also very important because at the time he looked different in Thriller than how he looked after Thriller.
Right.
But I didn't know that. And if you remember, I went through a Michael Jackson phase in my
Mm-hmm.
youth. And my introduction to that was actually when we were at the Mopop Museum when I was a kid. I don't remember why. We would have been there. And the Mopop Museum has this big screen for music videos. And I walk in at the time and I see Thriller, Michael Jackson. And I remember feeling...
Is that the one in Seattle that we're talking about,
Yes.
right? We did. We
Yes.
went there as a family.
And I was sincerely like
It's
as a
called
pop
what?
star. It's the Museum of Pop Culture.
She's giving it its acronym.
I didn't
It's
know
called,
it was called Mopop.
the Mopop.
And when I was sitting here panicking,
The
going,
Museum of Pop Culture.
We went there, right?
I-
Took the
And
kids.
I was pop cultured by Michael Jackson. I was
Of
totally
course.
taken aback. I thought it was the
'Cause
most
we're great
amazing
parents.
thing I'd ever seen. I was like, oh my gosh, Michael Jackson's so cool. And I was really excited. And I had to recover when I got home and saw more Michael Jackson music videos. And he was not the same guy that I saw at
Yeah.
the Mopop. He looked different
Yeah.
in bad, you know?
Yeah, he did.
yeah.
But this would have happened during your message, so it's a good thing you did.
And we still would have been talking about
Get rid
this
of
right
your
now.
brain.
The brain would have.
Because that's where I am right now.
Mopop.
Yeah,
Yeah. But next time I think you should still do a little. People
Uh-huh.
like it. It's good for the fanfare.
it is good. Big gulps.
I would say the last podcast was like a little bit of a therapy session for Mrs. Dav, where she was actually saying, I would like you to tell me about this.
Yeah,
is
I would
what
like
I'm
you to
feeling."
validate how I feel
And I
about
feel like
things.
this is for some reason is a critique. It's a feedback session for your last
good.
message. No, it's not. It's not
Yeah.
at all. That's just how it started. Is to talk
Sure,
about Michael Jackson.
I'm here for it.
I wanted to talk about your message about the quiet life.
Make it your ambition to lead a quiet life.
I liked all of it, first of all. And I liked the part about ambition being love and time.
Yeah, that's the
together.
word. Yeah,
I
ambition
really
is
like
a
that.
combination of those two
Yeah,
words.
that
sounds
was
good,
good.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. I mean, to me, it even just makes me reevaluate where we assign ambition as a word, and even as an adjective or a feeling. It reframes that. But I just kind of wanted to explore what I'm sure are the nuances of that idea of living a quiet life. Some of which you touched on. I mean, you talked about like it doesn't mean letting go or totally avoiding a drive to succeed
No, not at all.
in something. Nor does it mean being lazy. You talked
Right.
about that it
Correct.
still means work. That it means, so that there's nuances to that. Maybe I want to start with, since it's on my mind, the nuance of the social media posting we talked about, but specifically how that relates to, yes, living a quiet life, maybe even minding your business. I mean, what do you? Because I have some thoughts too on minding your business, but
It sounds like you'd like to share your thoughts.
I would not. I would like to hear yours for sure. But I would like to know what your thoughts are on like that exactly. Social media, people, especially even like the ambition to be known and recognized on social media,
Okay, I'm
and
listening to where you're going with this.
the
Okay.
quiet life. How do those
Okay, so like
come
social,
together?
the ambition as it relates to um, investing my love and my time onto social media with the objective of acquiring more of a profile. You whether seeking influence but only gaining ubiquity. And then measuring and determining whether or not I matter or how much I matter by the ubiquitous results of my media. That's all loud. That's loud, busy, and agitated, which is what the quiet life is not.
Yeah.
So the quiet life is not unfruitful, unproductive, or unsuccessful, or unimpactful, but it is unagitated. It is unharried. It is uninfected by hubris and fear and competition. But the quiet life is the one that my interior person is resting with an awareness of God and a divine awareness and a divine confidence, which leads to peace as worship. And so therefore I do not need to prove that I matter or that I matter more by exploding on social media for the purpose of having people either explode back to me by provoking a response or by eliciting a bunch of praise from people who already think the way that I think, and so we've just insulated ourselves into an echo chamber, and an echo chamber is just a very noisy gong, right? Gong, 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 gong. So I think that's meaningless. The quiet life says, I don't need that to matter. And if I disagree with that, the quiet life says, okay, if I really want to influence something, I mean, the best way to win is to be right. The best way that you're going to long-term have an influence is example. And not that you don't speak out against evil.
Right.
You certainly must. We wonder if a random social media post, again, because it's governed by algorithms, people that want to hear from you already, people that like you already. So, how much of an influence are you having? I don't think it's not that you can't express your opinion on social media. I think it has become increasingly irrelevant.
Yeah.
And only relevant to those who already think the way you do or who vehemently hate you and disagrry with you anyway. So
Right.
it really goes, I think, 50-50 sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it almost sounds like, because that's one of the things I thought about, like, as someone who, I like advocacy, and I
Yeah.
care about advocacy, but where advocacy and agitation kind of, like, meet, and
Right.
then
They are, because are they the same?
what are you
No.
advocating?
Yeah.
Are they just agitating
Yeah.
by saying something like you're saying, either that they know everyone will get up in arms about, or whether they know everyone will get very excited about.
There's a difference between being a catalyst and a critic.
Wow,
Yeah.
these are good alliterations. Catalyst and critic is good.
Very good.
I think yours were pretty phenomenal. Might be jealous
Thank you,
that
I
you said it
appreciate
first.
Which ones were hers?
I still his originally, which was the agitation versus advocacy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was good.
Yeah, that's
I
good.
sometimes get a little distracted, like watching her talk, because she's so beautiful.
She's pretty and smart.
Man,
which is
I know. It's like the
crazy.
smartness
Thank
coming
you.
out of it in her beauty.
Wow.
But I have nothing to add at this point right now. Except, I didn't mean to say it like that. What I was going to say is the thing I want to say. The thing that I want to add is just echoing kind of what Dad.
I have nothing to say.
I actually have nothing to say right now.
I have nothing to add at this point.
Write that
I
down.
do not have a comment.
No, but I just echo what Dad is talking about. In particular, we're specifically in this moment talking about like social media, which this isn't what I want to add, but I'm going to add now, is so crazy and funny because prior to MySpace, there was just nothing. This wasn't even and I know we all know this, but I mean, like, can we remember where we didn't have to tell people
Yeah. Oh, right.
where we ate and
Yeah.
that we went? It's just insane what the world is. And there's great things about it. I love seeing the pictures, so that's not about it. But what the algorithm thing, that made me think is funny is because it is true the way that it does work. Mostly people that agree with you are in your algorithm.
Right.
I have a sister.
Or that loathe you. What
Right,
you
you're
think.
following
Right, or
them 'cause
that
you hate
that
them.
you
Yeah.
follow them because you want to fight. But I have a sister, my middle sister, there has been this joke that the two of us should have a podcast together because she's convinced that our algorithms are so different.
Right. Oh, that makes sense.
And they probably are. And
Yeah.
so I thought, but then it kind of made me mad. I'm like, well, what am I not hearing or not knowing or not, because I'm not of how that works. But yeah, anyway, that's all. That's not really adding to this conversation. But
You're
just
always
that,
adding.
I read somebody said something about that somewhere. That friend of mine said that they follow people on purpose so that they hear what they don't normally hear.
yeah, I've heard that too.
I've heard that.
I don't know. I don't want to get mad.
I-
I
this
just
is
need
the
more
thing-
reason to
well,
be not
I convinced
quiet.
myself that I'm capable of seeing all the
All
sides
the
of
things,
things.
yes. Omniscient.
Me too. We all convinced ourselves of that.
Mostly
Well,
niscient.
mostly niscient.
Advancedly, mostly.
Mostly
A
niscient.
lot niscient. All omniscient.
All
But
omniscient.
not omni. Omni would be
Wait, I want a sufficient but omniscient together is where that would be really good. You know what I mean? You know those words? If someone found a combo word for that.
actually sufficient is better than
Sufficient.
omniscient.
Yeah, true. I have nothing to add to that.
Sorry.
So the,
Okay.
quiet,
I actually-
quiet life
yeah.
really
Quiet
is
life.
a life that is not agitated by anger, fear, or pride, which some of those things overlap. But that doesn't agitate. It's not that doesn't live. You know, the whole world is jacked up, medicated up, agitated, stressed out, whacked out, and a lot of the things that people engage in regularly only make that worse. You know, the from they doom scroll until their heart rate gets
Yeah.
up, and then they're mad about everything, and they further isolate themselves into a fixed view, a one-dimensional view of whatever's going on in the world. And that's just not the quiet life. Minding my own business doesn't mean I don't pay attention to anything else but me. It means that I concern myself with that for which I am directly responsible, and that I have a grace to handle and steward. And I would say directly responsible. I mean, for me, like the first thing I thought of was, Dad, aren't you concerned about some of the friends of yours and the crises in their family? Yeah. Are you the parent? No. But I am responsible relationally.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to actually fix their kid for them, but I care about them and want to be present for them. There's a grace for that, but basically a quiet life. There's a grace for is what I concern myself with, whatever the Lord helps me with. But if there's not a grace for it, and I try to be responsible, or I try to take care of something that I cannot and should not, that's going to further agitate and complicate my life.
Yeah.
That's a control thing.
Another aspect sort of the quiet life, as I was just reflecting about even maybe the rest or Sabbath element of it, I was thinking of, because when I think of like, maybe not extreme, but sort of extreme examples of a quiet life that might kind of fit into this, I even think of like a monasterial kind of thing, like like lifestyles that maybe typically very modern Christians would not identify with,
Right.
and not find even necessary. And I kind of had a moment of wondering, like, I mean, it's a very simplistic to say of like, are they onto something? Like, because what I had not considered, I think, before the message was like, not only is living a quiet life in that way a choice, but is it a choice that even most closely mirrors, like this idea of leaning into his presence, leaning into the life Jesus wants. So that was just a thought that I had. What do you think about that?
Well, I do. I as your mom really encouraged me to do, to be a part of this spiritual direction program, and I really credit her
And that's a fact.
for wanting to be a part of it.
Yep.
We study, of course, contemplative prayer and monasticism, and I've had to relearn that monasticism. When I first even looked into it, I ignored it because all I thought that was a bunch of people hiding in a room, not talking to
Right.
anybody, thinking that they were pleasing God.
Exactly.
And maybe they were, but I thought, well, you're worthless. You're not doing anything.
Right.
Monasticism certainly had a lot of solitude practice, but it was also a very scheduled life. Not like bing, not like pressure, but like focus.
Right.
Like for these 2 hours, I'm going to focus on my prayers. Then because those two, and that's the cool thing is I do that for 2 hours. Then I stop. Then they stop, and they would actually work. They would work in the garden, wash dishes. They would take in travelers. Monasteries were actually places of small enterprise and industry. They made wine. They had gardens. They fed people. They minded their business.
Yeah,
They
I love
they
that.
had a business to which they minded. They cared for things and they kept active. A quiet life is not idle, sedentary, or lazy.
But
Right.
not busy.
It is not
loud.
busy. Is worthless. Busy
Right.
is just buzz. That's just a fly buzzing from one thing to another. It is active and fruitful without being just busy. And so yeah, of course there were lots of times of solitude. And so when we talk about even solitude and quiet, did that originate in the monastic lifestyle? No, I think if we begin to consider it as I have had to do, and then I go back and I review, like Moses is on the mountain twice for 40 days. How much of that time was he babbling, stressing, monologuing? A lot of that time, and you think, and for the most part that we know of, even God only said 10 things.
Yeah.
Right? And he wrote
Right.
them down.
Yeah.
So what else was happening for 40 days, 80 days
Yeah.
without a lunch break because he didn't eat? So there was silence.
Yeah.
Save for perhaps the rumbling sound or the music that might have emanated from the glory of God. And when we talk about Jesus in the wilderness for 40 days, which is a literal thing, but also a fulfillment, an echo of the Mosaic, overcoming of all that. But what was happening there? Was he talking to Satan nonstop for 40 days? No, we have a record of about 4 or 5 things of that interaction. Otherwise,
I hope that was 40 days talking to him.
yeah, that would
would suck.
It would suck. And then then Jesus spent the whole night in prayer to God. Does that mean Jesus did he come out with hey guys, I've been talking? Did he have a raspy voice because he was shouting and shondying all night?
Right.
I don't think so. I think there could have been some expressions, some things said, but probably was quiet, probably even totally silent, save for some statements. And so the monastic life was a rejection of the pollution, the corruption, and the schedule, the life that was developing because of Rome.
Yeah.
And the monastics and the desert fathers said, we don't want that. We protest that, as well as they believed that there was some sort of spiritual warfare. Now, do I agree with? I don't embrace everything the desert fathers did in terms of their own imposing suffering upon themselves. Right. But really, the monasticism came out of that. But they are different because monasticism is not desert father exactly. But monasticism, again, is a scheduled life. They called it a rule of life, which is basically a schedule. They kept a schedule. And their schedule was intentional. They weren't slaves to it. They created a schedule. They committed to that. And it included solitude, prayer, silence, work, dishes, food, all the things. It was a rule of life. And it was their life was well ordered and lived on purpose, which was quiet.
Yeah.
But productive.
I don't want to, I want you to keep asking questions, but I do have one that just comes up in my mind just as far as minding.
Yeah, there's probably a reason why Amish people are really healthy. Because
Yeah, I was just going to say, like the Amish. Yeah, I was going to mention them a minute ago. But in minding your own business, and you talk about, you said how what you have influence over. How can it look like with local or further than that with government? Like if I'm, for example, like when we are frustrated and must speak up and do things in regards to education or what's happening in our state. Is that still a quiet life? If there's vocal, that's not necessarily, one would say, well, is that your business? Or
of the
is
people,
it?
by the people, for the people. Yes.
Yeah.
You are the government.
Yeah. So one can still live a quiet life while.
It's your business. It's
Yeah,
your
it's
business
your-
to vote. It's your business to advocate. It's your business to be a part of the legislative process. It's your business. I think the tenor or the manner in which you do it, you should keep subjected. You should not give yourself over to agitation, screaming,
Yeah, right.
losing your mind,
Being
people
mean.
not being, just people not doing what you want. Therefore you go back to what we said at the last episode. You begin to distort and insult them.
Right.
But advocating, speaking up, saying, this is what I think. And people that say, "Oh, you should, you don't. It's none of your business. You shouldn't, force your things on us." Well, I'm not. But it's of the people, by the people, for the people. So your voice, my voice, is just as valid as yours
Yeah.
in this democratic republic. And so even the people that say, "Oh, you shouldn't speak up," if the governor said this, then you shouldn't. You got to respect the authority. I'm the authority. The Bible was not written to a democratic republic. We have this. We are a people that if they would even imagine what you guys can vote, you guys can have a say in what goes on. Why don't you vote? We would love to be able to vote, so they stop killing us. I'm sure that the early church would have loved that.
Yeah.
But they didn't have that choice. But we do. We are the government. That we don't have no kings. Well, we don't have one. We are the government. We are supposed to be the government, and so Christians should speak up and be active and say what they have to say. And the church, I think, even rightfully, the church does not bear. We talked about this before. The church doesn't bear the sword, so we don't exercise that kind of power. But we don't bear the sword, but we bear the conscience. And it is. I believe it is our job to tell the government and to say when things have exceeded their parameters and when they are acting immorally. And that's what. And we should, irrespective, but we also can because of our Constitution.
Yeah. Good. Thank you.
I think just to maybe circle back and maybe also round out this conversation about a quiet life and talking about that sort of the life they created to separate themselves from the Roman culture. I mean, like this life right now is very hustle, very busy, very loud. I mean, that is what it is to be an individual. I would argue in all aspects, secular, Christian, like everything. And so I think my question is, what, other than checking myself into a monastery, what are ways in our lives that we can introduce that, like, practical, quiet life?
Yeah.
Even schedules.
I even have I have a book that says how to, maybe you've seen on my shelf, how to be monastic without forsaking your life or something. I'm not quoting the title right, but I read it real quick. And the basic, and again, you don't have to embrace everything, but begin with a series of a basic commitment to quieting your heart before the Lord, and then create a rule of life, and which should include, like, really a one fundamental thing that anybody can do, that everybody can do, is setting aside some time every day to be quiet on purpose. And sometimes it helps to not just quiet in general, because we are Christians, and you might, a Buddhist could say, I do that and it helps me too. That's a quiet life, but it's a life with a direction and an agenda that is quite different. So as a Christian, we pause and give all of our attention to the presence of Christ. which is, again, why I'm so happy about Mom's sign that she put in our church that says, Jesus, fill this place. Contemplative prayer practitioners throughout generations have what they call their prayer sentence, their centering sentence. It's a scripture or a sentence. They used to call it the Jesus prayer, which is it's fine. It's Lord Jesus, have mercy on me, a sinner. That if that resonates with you, that's fine. I have a contemplative sentence that I often will say, but really the purpose is just because the speech center is the most powerful part of the brain. So instead of when you're sitting in silence, your brain can go wander, and so you'll learn to practice labeling a thought and telling that thought to sit down, and then you redirect yourself into the moment with that centering sentence prayer. And so you just say it out loud quietly, sometimes in between breaths or whatever. But there's a practice to that, and it's a science, it's a neuroscience and a spiritual theology, and that is learning to be still, to breathe on purpose, and in quiet for a specific amount of time every day. And from there, you can actually build new neural pathways in your brain, shift the way the blood flows in your brain. They've proven that you become more attentive to the world around you, more aware, they increase in different sensitivities. You can even begin to, you'll find yourself less agitated, less combustible. So you can begin anywhere, but begin by setting aside time to be quiet. Then I would encourage someone to mark up some sort of rule of life, some sort of a thing where they kind of make a schedule. And some people I've heard say, if I make a schedule, I stress myself out because as soon as I make one, I break it and then I feel bad. Okay, so then make one that works.
Yeah.
So make a schedule that includes time for quiet, for activity, for reflection. A lot of people say they are so harried, but really what they it's like, well, I got to hurry up and play a video game, or I've got to not do this so that I can watch what I've recorded on TV, and all that's fine. But there is enough time in any given day when we decide to live it on purpose, and a quiet life is an intentional life. So I would say you don't have to join a monastery, but you can be intentional.
Yeah.
Austin asked me some weeks ago about, well, how do I do that when I've got a baby and a toddler and whatever just crawling on me all the time? I said, well, faith doesn't work on a clock.
Yeah.
You take 30 seconds and take long, slow breaths and think about the presence of the Lord. Just do that.
Yeah.
That is an act where you recalibrate and quiet yourself.
That's really good too, because it seems like, and I'm not picking on a certain generation, but the headphones and constant
That's definitely seems to be increased.
Are
Constant stimuli.
Like I see people, and it's like, have you had a minute where you haven't had something in your ears?
Right.
Whatever it might be, music, shows, whatever.
Well,
and
it is one form of, my daughter would know this better than me, but that constant stimuli is one, form or expression of addiction. Because your brain has developed a desire for certain stimuli, and only certain and so that stimuli happens, and then people experience quiet and they don't know what it is, and the brain goes, I don't know what this is, right, and then begins to panic.
But I like what you said. I mean, just a person doesn't have to feel like they've got to start off with an hour right away. That could freak them out. But
no, they shouldn't. There's not even a recommendation of an hour.
Right.
I mean, 20 minutes is the recommendation for what you should do, what anyone can do regularly. I don't know why 20 minutes. I think they've just measured neurologically what happens when you take 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But just start.
Just start. That's really good. Yeah. Yeah. Very good.
Well, that's all I have. If Mom wasn't going to say anything else, I was hoping she wouldn't, so that I could say, do you have anything to add? Or did you have a comment?
Which I did.
Thank you. Yes, I am glad that you did.
Wonderful.
I was glad for your comment. But that's everything I have to say. I'm romanticizing monastery slightly in my mind after the message.
Yeah.
But I would make my own.
Yeah, I think it's really good. It's been good learning from you as you've been learning in this program that I so wanted you to do.
I'm
She
so
approved
thankful
of.
for
It
your
was her idea,
influence,
and I
for
knew from
your-
the beginning
from
that
the
you were
beginning that
doing.
you knew it was the right thing to do.
I knew it was.
And-
Yeah,
and
I'm
you just
I'm
inspired
such an
me.
encourager that
Yep,
way.
you are. I mean, I don't know where I'd be without you. So
Well, let me pray.
Yeah.
So, Lord, help us be quiet. No. No. In seriousness, Lord. May we walk and live unmuddled and unmessy lives. I pray for those that feel their value and their worth is in their busyness and in their the type of way we thought ambition was, that it was attached to other things, to careers or certain statuses, or I must have this at a certain time. I pray that we would instead receive your love and recognize that our minds and our hearts and our lives, our daily lives, can live a quiet life, and that can look powerful and that can look meaningful. And I pray for your blessing over everyone watching us today, that maybe this week that we would all take an opportunity and have a quiet moments to reset, and that we would make this a practice in our lives daily and steward our lives in this way. In your name, amen.
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 Thanks, ladies.
Thank you. That's a wrap on another insightful episode with Dr. Dav. If today's conversation was meaningful, would you share it with a friend and help spread the word? For more information about Heritage, visit our website at heritagenw.org. Grace and peace to you in the mighty name of Jesus.